What's up, people? Welcome back to my movie review thing, which I will now be calling To the Victor Go the Spoilers. Working title. I'm just gonna do that. I'm not gonna type it because that's a lot of words and I don't like it. This is going to be my movie review of Black Swan with Natalie Portman and Mila Kunis and some other awesome people that I really enjoyed. So, yeah, spoilers are coming. If you feel like watching this movie, which you really should, I probably should do a spoiler-free review just to make people want to see it, because it's interesting. I'd want people to see it. I'm going to be explaining the movie in fair detail and giving my opinion about it, so here we go. So someone has decided to make a new version of the Swan Lake and cast Natalie Portman's character. I'm not really going to care about names. I'm just going to call them by the actors or actresses' names. So, Natalie Portman is a dancer. She's a ballerina. Is that considered ballerina? A dancer, a stage dancer. She does plays and stuff. And she is auditioning, or she's part of a group of people that are going to be picked for the stage production, picked or not picked or whatever, you know, depending on how they do. And there's a creepy dude, and he's watching all of the girls doing their dancing, and he's deciding who to choose. Natalie Portman is there. She's very sweet, very innocent, very naive about the world, and doesn't really, she's very closed off and doesn't, she's very, what would you say? She's a very, she basically starts out as a mama's girl. Mom is always tucking her into bed and like checking on her and like undressing her, and we find out later that mom was also a dancer, which is why she's so obsessed with her daughter being a dancer. But for now, all you need to know is that Natalie Portman is a very pampered girl. Almost immediately, she starts having hallucinations while going through this audition process. She starts to question herself and even hallucinate where she sees her face on other people as they're passing by. There's a woman that passes by in an alleyway, and she sees her own face, and she's like, "What? What was that?" She's very quiet, and she's very, "Oh, how do I make you happy? Is that okay? What have I done? What do I do?" It's very much like that. She's very meek individual. One of the ladies of the company that they're working with has become older than they would like, and is basically being pushed out because she's become too old for them to really want her anymore. They want fresh new meat. They want a young woman that can dance and do all the things and be the star. So Winona Ryder is another big character in the movie, and she's the old dancer, the one that is being forced to retire because she's not young anymore or whatever. And Natalie Portman sneaks into her dressing room and steals her lipstick and some of her other items from her little dressing room thing. And so that's the first moment of her being kind of mischievous that you'll see. The whole big deal of the main role in the Swan Lake production is that the main character has to play two roles. They have to play the White Swan and the Black Swan. There is one character that is doing the dancing and doing the acting and everything on stage has to be the good Swan character in the beginning and be the bad Swan character at the end. And the guy watching and judging all of the dancers and everything tells her that she only can do the sweet, innocent White Swan character, and she doesn't have the dark streak to be the Black Swan. She can't dance like a Black Swan because that's the darker character. She's too sweet, she's too innocent. She shows up in the judgy guy's room, and she's wearing the stolen lipstick that she took from Winona Ryder's character, and she's like, I have what it takes. What do I do to, whatever. The guy kisses her. She bites his lip, and he kind of like freaks out or whatever, and she kind of freaks out and kind of runs away. And then later he's like, yeah, let me see more of that lip biting thing, like that's the Dark Swan character that I want you to be. You have to become this character. The whole movie's about transformation and the loss of innocence and shit. Judgy Man, I'm just going to call him Judgy Man because he's the guy like in charge of the play. I'm just going to call him Judgy Man from now on. Judgy Man tells her in the lip biting room that the role's already been given away to this other girl. So when she leaves, she sees that girl and she tells her congratulations. And that girl's like, okay, whatever, I don't know what you mean. But the results have been posted, and Natalie Portman got the lead, but she didn't know that that guy was lying to her. So that girl that she said congratulations to comes back and is like, fuck you, like, is this a joke? You just told me I was the lead, but you're the lead. Why would you do this to me? Somebody may have seen her go into the Judgy Man's room and talk to him with the door closed and then get the lead, because she goes, like, she's in a restroom and she's in a stall and she's like talking to her mom. She's like, I got the thing, and she's so happy, she's crying with joy. And then she walks out of there and somebody has taken some lipstick and written whore on the mirror. Yeah, I kind of wondered if that was like, was she imagining it? Did one of them do it because they saw her in the thing, or I don't know. Natalie Portman's character starts to get these little weird like rash things like on her back, like on her shoulder area, and her mom, who is way too momish and like trying to pamper her and do everything for her. Like, oh my god, have you been scratching again? Like, maybe that's a thing. Maybe she scratched herself compulsively, but there's like little wounds, little sores at a certain spot on her back where wings would grow. Foreshadowing. And it like bleeds and it's red and stuff, and that comes up again a bunch. There's a lot of scenes where you're not really sure if she's seeing the truth. Like I said, the things on the back, but also like something about the fingers. She like has a weird thing about like cutting her nails. Her mom cuts her nails, and like sometimes it's bleeding or she thinks it's bleeding. There's a scene where she's like in a bathroom or something, and she's like ripping skin. She like rips a whole big piece of skin like all the way up her finger, and it's gross. And the movie has a lot of horror elements, and like it almost seems like it's more of a horror than it is like a drama or anything else. It's a very strange horror. There are some jump scares. There are some strange elements, but it feels almost like it's played as a drama, but it's definitely a horror. Yeah, it's a horror movie, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to say. There's a scene where Mila Kunis comes into the bathroom where she is in, and you learn that she's a free spirit. There's a bunch of people at this party thing, and she like takes off her panties, puts it in her little handbag, and then takes a pee in what looks like the sink. So like that almost made me laugh because I wasn't really sure. It didn't look like she was gonna sit on a toilet. It kind of looked like she hopped up on a sink and just started peeing in the sink. And she's like, no, stay and talk to me. And Natalie Portman's like, I gotta get out of here. You're a fucking weirdo. Winona Ryder as the older dancer that has been pushed out of the business comes up and she's like, what did you do to get the lead? Did you fucking... Did you... And she's like, no, what are you talking about? And she's like, you're a little fucking whore. Fuck you. Creepy Judgy Man. Now I'm going to call him Creepy Judgy Man because he's been creepy from the beginning, and he's a judgy man. So Creepy Judgy Man tells her that she can't embrace the Dark Swan, the Black Swan character, unless she starts to embrace her inner demons, her inner dark side or whatever. So he tells her to go home and by herself. And So she does, and she tests it out. Apparently, she's never done it before, I guess. I don't know how old these characters are supposed to be or whatever happens naturally with people. Whatever. She goes to town, solo style, and like turns over and realizes her mother is asleep in a chair next to her bed. So her mother's still kind of there, kind of this part of her life that has been very, like overbearing's a weird word, very pampered, overbearing, overwatched, and like it's pretty obvious, at least it was to me early on, that this is going to be like her trying to figure out a way to get away from her young, innocent, pristine self and become this character that she needs to be in order to dance a certain way, which is interesting. At some point, Winona Ryder's character, I thought she actually killed herself, but apparently she just kind of decided to walk into traffic and then gets hit and goes to the hospital, and like everybody just thought that was just like her being pissed off about the role and stuff, and I guess it is. I was sort of, I don't know, it's kind of not really explained. But Winona Ryder's character is in the hospital for walking out into traffic and getting hit by a car. I thought she was dead. I thought she would kill herself, but that's not what it is. Her mom has a weird room of paintings of her, just a lot of different versions of paintings that she's done of her daughter. So she's basically obsessed with her daughter and her daughter's success, which is why she pampers her so much and why she chooses to overmom, I guess. I guess she overmommed. She's an overmom. Watch out for those overmoms. Anyway, creepy judgy man is just in a room with her and watching her dance and is like, you're not good enough to be the Black Swan. You don't have what it takes. You don't understand the passion or whatever that it takes to be the Black Swan character. So he goes and kind of like dances with her for a minute and then forces himself upon her in the way that like he just kind of starts making out with her, and then she's kind of into it. He's grabbing her, groping her, and he pulls a full-on Trump and goes fucking. But he, and then she got all riled up. He said, I just seduced you. That's what you're supposed to be doing with your dancing. You should be seducing me. That's the character, and not the other way around. So you're not doing it right. I just did it to you. I showed you what it looks like. Mila Kunis comes to her and tries to talk to her as a coworker and as a friend, and she's obviously like the party girl type or whatever, and she comes in, she's late, she's like, yeah, whatever, who cares, and she's like smoking a cigarette with Natalie Portman, and she like gives her a drag off her cigarette. So it's like, oh, she's losing her innocence. She's smoking a cigarette. She was talking about a dude that grabbed her and stuff. So I was like, okay, I know where this is headed. Then more of the back stuff, and the weird fingernail thing. I didn't quite understand the fingernail thing. There was a lot of like cutting of fingernails, and like sometimes it was the mom that was cutting them. Sometimes she was cutting her nails, but it like, it would start bleeding. So like it's always there's something bleeding. Whether or not it's the toes, there's a part early on where her toenail gets broke and it's bleeding. Her fingernail is bleeding. Her back is bleeding because maybe she scratches herself compulsively on the back or whatever. But it's like they're right in the place where wings would grow. So I'm like, okay, you're not showing me anything here. I know where you're going, movie. Like if she was an angel, wings would grow there, I guess. But since she's supposed to be a swan, her arms would sort of be the wings, so I guess that part doesn't make sense, but I saw where they were going. I knew what they were doing. There's a really creepy moment where she's on a subway train, and there's like a really old man, and he's sitting there, and she's just like lost in thought, like just looking out the window of the car, the train, and this old man is sitting there, and he's going, he's like making weird noises and kissy faces and shit. And he does some weird shit and he's like, I don't know. It's really fucked up and weird, and I kind of chuckled at that moment. So then Mila Kunis convinces Natalie Portman. I'm not gonna say their movie names because I don't care. That's this. They're characters, and it doesn't really matter all that much what their names are. Natalie Portman is out, decides to disobey her mother and go out drinking and clubbing or whatever with Mila Kunis. And Mila wants to have her, quit being so uptight and, have fun. Like, who cares if we got to go do this tomorrow? You need to just open up and be more relaxed and stuff. So she's like, here's some ecstasy or Molly or whatever. And she's like, here's one for me, and here's one for you. And she doesn't want to do it at first, and then eventually she does it. And so there's a big, Natalie Portman's character getting all, getting all hazy, having a good time, going, ooch, 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 like dancing with, It actually kind of bothered me watching that part. I don't like watching, like, strobe lighting, like, in the club setting. It just really... I don't know. I didn't like that part. Anyway, that's just a personal preference. Just visually, I didn't care for that. But ends with her bringing Mila Kunis back to her mom's house. That's when I started noticing that the imagery and the way that they were using mirrors as, like, the duality between the, like, good and bad and whatever. Mila Kunis is one side of her psyche, and Natalie Portman is one side. Like, here's the innocent side, here's the party side. Even though I believe Mila Kunis is actually a person in the movie, that she represents a darker, more adult, more free lifestyle kind of thing. And it's very, very obvious in the way that they did the, the scene where they both come back to the mom's place, and the mom's like, where have you been? What are you doing? And, like, they show a mirror, and in the mirror, you see Natalie Portman, and then you see Mila Kunis' character just kind of, kind of creep off. No, that wasn't, she's not here at all. Because she's not fucking there at all. It's a part of her, it's a part of her mind thinking that she's there. And you even see her, like, mouthing the same things that she's saying. So I was like, okay, I know what you're going for here. And I'm not saying, like, it's a, if you didn't see it coming, that's on you. That's exactly what I'm saying, actually. If you didn't see it coming, that's on you. I've seen a ton of movies, and it didn't surprise me what was going on here. I did enjoy it, though. I did like what they were doing. But it turns out none of that ever happened. Mila Kunis was never there. She approaches, Natalie Portman approaches, what's her fucking face, the next day when they're at dance practice, and she's like, what's going on? What'd you do? And she's like, did you just imagine all this stuff because you were high or whatever? And so that's what we're led to believe. It's all in her mind. And I believe it because she's already had a lot of hallucinations and things that we already know don't make sense and that weren't actually happening. So there is an intimate scene with Mila Kunis and Natalie Portman, their characters, and they are getting busy lady style. And you see on Mila Kunis's back, I mean, you already saw that there were wings. There were wings on her back, like a dark wing tattoo, and they start kind of moving in a weird way when they're doing their lady business, and I was like, okay, I get it. Yeah, this is her. She's like the Dark Swan part, and she's like the Light Swan, and in order to become that, you gotta kind of understand how to be that way. So here's some wings on her back. And I get it. I get it. You know? I get it. So Natalie Portman, like, grabs all her stuffed animals out of her room, and she stops talking to her mom, and she, like, kind of keeps her mom out of her room by blocking the door. And is like, no, you can't be in here anymore. And starts rebelling and becoming more of the Dark Swan personality. And, throwing away all her stuffed animals and stuff. Like, the loss of innocence. Like, in order to become this dancer character, you have to get rid of these childish things in your life. But you still have to be this, like, one person, one character. You just have to embody both of them, which is, I mean, it's interesting. It's an interesting thing. Several times in the movie, Natalie Portman is puking in the toilet or trying to puke in the toilet, but they never really address if it's a bulimic thing or just her trying to lose weight. I'm not sure what the difference is, honestly. I don't know between bulimia and just trying to lose weight. I'm not really sure what the deal is there, but it does happen, and it's a little gross. Natalie visits Winona in the hospital after she has walked out into traffic and destroyed her legs and I guess tried to kill herself or whatever. She visits her into the hospital and she's trying to be quiet, but Winona, the old lady or dancer, she kind of wakes up and she's like, what the hell? And then she grabs like the little like nail file thing and she starts stabbing her face and like, just like stabbing herself in the face. And then like at some point her face turns into Natalie Portman's face, and that happens lots in the movie. So it's obvious that she has some kind of mental issue or something that is she starts seeing herself as other people, and or maybe this is all internal. I'm not quite sure, but you see her stab herself in the cheeks, and it's fucking weird. After that, she goes into her mom's room with all the art projects, all the paintings of her face, and like they start coming to life. She's losing her mind. There's like weird characters in like shadowy, crazy corners of her apartment and stuff, and like it starts getting really weird, and you know, I mean, it's already been psychological and messed up at this point, but like she starts seeing a lot of weird shit, like, and her mom just kind of gives up trying to be that character, that overbearing love giver person, and just accepts that she's going through something. She has a very strange moment where her legs bend backwards. Her legs like they bend backwards like a goose, like a swan, and her eyes turn red, and she's like picking feathers out of her back and shit. And it's like, I see what you're going for here. You know, loss of innocence. Becoming this new thing that you need to be in order to do the thing. I see what you're doing, and I appreciate the way you're doing it. I do. I do. She has a moment where her, like, toes are growing together. She looks at her feet, and her toes are growing together, I guess, like a swan feet. You know, like a swan feet? I guess that's what's going on. Like, she's, like, pulling them apart, like pulling her little feet, her little toes apart. And it's strange. And also, I think right after that scene is when she has a Mila Kunis fight/murder scene where she takes some broken glass and stabs it into Mila, and it's like, screw you. But in doing that, she became the dark thing. Like, Mila Kunis represented the dark thing, but in stabbing her and trying to kill her, she became that thing. Her eyes turned red. The transformation started. She was that evil character. She dragged her body into a closet and left it there. She believed herself to be a murderer. Then goes on stage and just nails it. Just does an amazing performance as the Black Swan, just in character, and like also there's like CGI effects and stuff. Like, you're still imagining her like transforming into this character, but while she's on stage, they like take her doing the fucking swan movements and like turn it into wings, and like you can see the feathers on her and stuff. They do an interesting CGI thing there, and then she walks off stage. That isn't even her final transformation. So she believes that Mila Kunis is dead and like in her dressing room, and there's like blood coming out from behind the or from underneath the door. So she puts a towel down. But then a knock on the door, and it's Mila Kunis, and she's alive, and she's just like, that was a great performance. And she's like, what? Wait, what? What? You're alive? Whatever. And then she realizes that she's going fucking crazy, and there is no dead Mila Kunis in the closet. So she's lost her mind completely in this character. So then, because the play needs her to become the White Swan again, she changes, becomes the White Swan again, goes out, does the performance that she's supposed to do at the end, and jumps off a thing and kills herself. And then we find out, when everybody's clapping and everything at the end, that she's actually got a piece of mirror still stuck inside of her. So she may have done that to herself just to help their performance. And then it ends with just a big bright light and her being like, I did it perfectly. And it kind of leaves you thinking, okay, well, did she actually do that? Did she do that for the performance? Is this method acting? Was she actually hurting herself to make it seem believable, or did she actually die? And they don't answer that question at the end. It actually, the ending felt very Birdman, and a lot of the movie felt very Birdman. I don't know if you've seen Michael Keaton in Birdman. I thought it was an interesting movie, and certain parts of it reminded me of that a lot. This is very much more horror, like way more of a horror movie than it is. I mean, it's mostly drama, but like pretty heavily a horror movie. But anyway, the reason that it reminds me of Birdman is because at the end, a Birdman spoiler kind of thing, he does, Michael Keaton ends up doing a real life thing that people don't know if it's real or not, but he does this really messed up physical thing that people see as his performance, and then it ends, and it reminded me of that a lot of bit, so I had to bring it up at least. I don't know if she's actually dead. I don't know if I care if she's dead. It was a pretty damn good movie. I would recommend it. It's got a couple jump scares, and I don't really care for jump scares. They're a little bit cheap, but it was because I was focused more on the drama of things. The horror aspects didn't bother me. The jump scare stuff didn't bother me as much, and I really liked the performances a lot. Yeah, Natalie Portman and Mila Kunis and what's his face, creepy judgy man, and Winona Ryder. It was all pretty good. It was a pretty good movie. I enjoyed it, so I would recommend it to certain people if they're adults, and if they enjoy a little bit of psychological stuff. Yeah. So I thought it was interesting, and I thought it was pretty good. So there you go. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you next time.